Have you ever wished you could just switch off pain? Imagine a stubbed toe that doesn't throb, a burn that doesn't sting, a broken bone that doesn't scream. Sounds like a superpower, right? Well, what if I told you that in the distant future, humanity achieved just that? Through millennia of evolution, we edited physical pain right out of our DNA, a biological masterpiece designed for survival in hostile new worlds. But this so-called evolutionary miracle came with a terrible, unforeseen cost. This isn't a story about a utopia. It's a warning about what we might lose when we try to eliminate our own humanity. Welcome to a world without pain. At first, it seemed like a triumph, but the silence was the first sign that something was deeply wrong. Without pain's alarm system, our bodies became silent tombs. A cut doesn't alert you to infection. A fracture goes unnoticed until a limb just stops working. Internal bleeding, rampant tumors, deadly infections, they all fester in the dark, revealing themselves only at the point of no return. A silent heart attack is no longer a rare medical event. It's just how people die. Medicine had to be completely reinvented. It became a system of constant, invasive surveillance. Forget fitness trackers. We're talking about biometric implants woven into your very skin, monitoring every cellular process. Medical drones fill the skies like metallic vultures, ready to swoop down at the first sign of an anomaly detected by an all-seeing algorithm. Life became a subscription service to your own health, and those who refused this life-saving monitoring, they were branded as outcasts, biological threats walking around with ticking time bombs inside them. Privacy became a relic of a bygone era, sacrificed at the altar of survival. But the physical consequences were just the beginning. The psychological rot was far deeper. Pain, it turns out, is a cornerstone of our morality. It teaches us empathy. When you see someone fall, you flinch because you know what that feels like. Without that shared experience, compassion began to wither. Humanity's capacity for cruelty exploded. War zones transformed into grotesque spectacles, fought by medical industrial gladiators who could sustain horrific injuries and keep fighting. Their bodies repaired on the fly. Extreme surgery became a mainstream blood sport. News channels broadcast live events featuring pain gladiators, individuals who pushed their bodies to the absolute brink of destruction for public entertainment. They would dismember and reassemble themselves, challenging death for nothing more than applause and ratings. Society stared into this abyss and asked a terrifying question. If a person can no longer feel suffering, are they even human anymore? The very definition of our species was up for debate. In an attempt to control the chaos, society retreated into sterile, domed cities. Here, scientific rationality reigned supreme. Every single step you took was analyzed, every movement corrected by paramedic robots to prevent the slightest possibility of physical harm. It was a world engineered for total safety. But this hyper-sanitized existence created a new kind of prison, a prison for the mind. With no physical risks to navigate, our psyches began to fray. Mental disorders surged to epidemic levels. The human mind, starved of genuine sensory feedback, began to crave shock and intensity just to feel alive. A dark underbelly emerged. Clandestine cults formed in the shadows of these perfect cities, their members dedicated to recreating forbidden sensations. They would use illegal technology to hack their own neural implants, simulating the long-lost feeling of pain. Covert self-harm became a spiritual practice, a desperate attempt to find meaning in a world that had become numb and sterile. They were chasing the ghost of a sensation that their ancestors had fought so hard to eliminate, proving that you can't engineer away the fundamental needs of the human spirit. The justice system also crumbled. Imagine trying to prosecute a violent crime in a world without screams, without tears, without the physical evidence of suffering. An assault leaves no emotional trace on the victim. Abuse becomes invisible, a secret kept not by choice, but by biology. How can you prove wrongdoing when the victim's body doesn't react? The courts became desperate, inventing terrifying new, truth-forcing techniques. They mandated emotional recording implants, used cerebral polygraphs that read thoughts, and analyzed neurochemical stress markers. The state gained the power to reach directly into your mind. But this raised an even more profound question. How far can we allow the government to go in the name of justice before it becomes the ultimate form of violation? And finally, there was the simple, profound loss of limits. Our bodies evolved with pain as a natural guardrail. It tells you when the fire is too hot, when the pressure is too great, when to stop. Without it, humanity lost its internal brakes. People would walk on scorching surfaces without flinching, or subject themselves to extreme gravitational forces without a hint of caution, causing irreparable damage they couldn't even feel. Our bodies were invulnerable, but our judgment was gone. New philosophies began to emerge from the chaos, speaking of the virtue of limit. Thinkers and rebels argued that inner pain, the very thing we had erased, was the necessary antidote to our own technological arrogance. It was the teacher we had fired, the guide we had ignored. They believed that only by re-embracing our vulnerability could we save ourselves. In the end, evolution gave us a body without physiological weakness, but robbed us of the wisdom that comes with it. We gained a world without fear of physical harm, but lost our compassion, our sanity, and our very sense of what it means to live. The true dilemma remains, echoing through this silent, painless future. Can we ever learn to respect the preciousness of life if we can no longer feel its price? So, I ask you, would you give up pain for a life free of physical fear? Or do you believe that suffering in all its forms is what gives our experiences texture, meaning, and ultimately value? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into a possible future, please hit that like button and consider subscribing for more deep dives into science, philosophy, and the human condition. See you in the next one.